I'm broken. Everyone's broken in one way or another by something or someone, but I want to heal my broken, and I feel like the only way to do that is to address it. And it's just not something I ever really have. So basically I'm using this video as free therapy. Buckle up, kids. It's about to get hashtag deep. When I was a little kid, at some point, I looked at myself in the mirror and I decided that that was ugly. I don't know what brought me to that or what things might have influenced me to make me think that way, but I distinctly remember at some point when I was very young, looking in the mirror and thinking to myself, if I cut off all my hair, then I would just look like a boy. And that's a huge gender stereotype in itself, but when you're 9 years old, that makes you feel like you are different and weird and bad. You feel like you're wrong, like something's wrong with you to make you that way. And at that point, I just decided that that was my lot in life and I was just gonna have to deal with it. And that was all fine until I cared. I think everyone can remember the point in their life when they started to realize that they cared what other people thought about them and how they looked to other people and how they were represented in the world. So when I had that switch and then I went, oh wait, I'm ugly, obviously I had to improvise. And I found makeup. I've always had extremely light eyebrows to the point where when I was a kid, I would ask my dad when I was gonna grow them because I didn't think they had come in yet. Even when I was like 10 years old, I was like, Daddy, I don't understand. Like, where are they? They're not there because they were just so light. So like, imagine all those Photoshop pictures you see of celebrities without their eyebrows. Like picture that, but that's just my face all the time. It's such a silly thing to be weird and insecure about. But it feels so isolating because you look in the mirror and you see something that doesn't look like everyone else. It doesn't look normal. Because I thought I was so ugly, I felt like I had to wear Hollywood, Met Gala, Oscars night, like full makeup every day because I figured if I look like this all the time, I need to put in more effort than other people, normal people, have to. So I got into makeup and it wasn't something I was particularly interested in, but it felt like something I had to be interested in because of this condition I had. So I took classes and I watched makeup tutorials online like back when they weren't even really a thing. And I just kind of put it upon myself to be really good at makeup to compensate for the fact that I really wasn't happy with the way that I looked on my own. So every day I was waking up extra early for school and doing full makeup so I knew that I would feel comfortable throughout the day, which like now is not even a thing because now it's so ingrained in everyone to look perfect all the time that I see these 14-year-olds running around looking like Kardashians, and like 14-year-olds now are very different than 14-year-olds when I was 14, basically. Some of them at least. So naturally, constantly, I had people talking about my makeup. Most of the time it was, why do you wear so much makeup? Your makeup looks so pretty. Or someone pointing something out about the makeup specifically, probably touching my face and bringing it to the attention of the entire group. Needless to say, I built up a level of anxiety about this. I felt like I was constantly being critiqued, positive or negative, it didn't matter. It felt like there was a lot of attention for the makeup, but not so much for the person underneath it. Because it was either you wear too much, which in a way is a compliment towards your natural beauty, but at the same time it's telling you that you're doing something wrong. But because my self-esteem is like non-existent, it would just because I felt like I needed to wear that much makeup in order to feel safe and to feel comfortable and to hide whatever was going on under here from everyone. I felt like I had this secret that I was keeping from everyone. And to a point, I still do. I felt like I had to protect everyone from seeing my face. I swear, I don't think in 4 years of high school, I had more than maybe 5 people see me without makeup throughout my entire young adult life, like including my parents. If it wasn't that, then it was someone telling me that my makeup looked pretty, which is lovely, and I know they didn't mean it in this way, but it made me feel like the makeup was pretty, and I knew that because I worked really hard at it, and I was good at it. But it didn't mean that I was pretty. I felt like, yeah, I created this beautiful mask, but you don't know what's going on underneath it. Then it would just be someone pointing out and drawing attention to something on my face and telling loads of people to come over and analyze my face. And I remember at one point I was using something that had sort of a glittery shine. It probably looked like a highlight, but in 2007, kids thought it was hilarious. So they'd like take me around and be like, look, she's glittering. She's like Edward Cullen, huh? She's like a vampire, like, ugh. And it's all like well and good fun. But I just didn't realize at the time that I was developing a horrible social anxiety disorder through it. It got to a point where I just didn't want to see myself without makeup. I didn't want to look at it. So I just wouldn't take it off. I'd sleep in my makeup every night. And I was in theater and plays and musicals, so I was going to sleep in stage makeup a lot of the time, which, ugh. Just picture like full toddlers and tiaras like caked on stuff. And I just didn't think anything of it. So every day it would just get more and more because I would wake up in the morning, look at yesterday's makeup and think, well, this person didn't talk to me yesterday, so clearly that wasn't good enough. Or this boy still doesn't like me, so that must not have been good enough. So we need to add more and do better. Oh, it's so bad. So because of that, over time, it would take longer. So I kept having to adjust how much time it would take me to get ready in the morning. At first it was 45 minutes, then it was an hour, then it was an hour and a half, then it was an hour and 45, then it was 2 hours. And sometimes it would go longer than that. And because it was so ridiculous, it became a joke. It was, oh, Kaylee takes so long to get ready. And I was told things like, no one's ever gonna love you if you take this long to get ready. And it was fear on top of fear, because the original fear was, well, no one's gonna love me because I'm ugly. And then I thought, well, here's a solution to that. And then that solution turned into, well, no one's ever gonna love you because you take too long to get to that solution. And when you're in high school, there's so much rejection from life and people and everything that every day I never felt like I was good enough, and I always felt like it had to do with my appearance. I would see other girls and think, wow, they've got such great no makeup faces. I don't have one of those. I don't have a no makeup face because I'm not allowed to have my face without makeup. I felt like I had to warn people before I took my makeup off. And if someone caught me without full face, I would have to apologize for looking crazy or not being a real person yet, blah, blah, blah. I reached this point where I felt like I had created this persona, this thing that people expected me to be. I felt like until I had fulfilled X amount of steps in my makeup process, I wasn't complete. And because I was stuck in this perpetual cycle of not feeling like I was ever good enough, those steps just kept increasing and increasing and increasing until I was exhausted and constantly having to think about getting each step just right so that everything was perfect, so that you were perfect, and then present it to someone who was never going to feel the same way about me as I did about them. But because I still hoped that they would, I just scrapped it up to, well, not good enough, try again, do better tomorrow. I remember a day where I literally sat in my bathroom for 3 hours just doing my eyebrows. That's it. I basically had a full-blown panic attack before I knew what panic attacks were. And I sat there and I just remember drawing them on, wiping them off, drawing them on, wiping them off, drawing them on, wiping them off. And I was late to work because of it. And I had to lie and say that I had car trouble because you can't say I'm late because I spent 2 hours reshaping my eyebrows over and over again. It's so ridiculous. It just became so unhealthy. And what's terrifying is that I'm still struggling with this now. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. This is still something that eats away at me. I'm broken. I'm so broken. Every once in a while, I just explode. And this isn't the type of video I usually make. It's so different to what I usually do that I question why I'm doing it, but I just keep feeling like I have to in order to move on. And in case anyone else out there feels like this, because I'm sure that there are other people who do, and it's so destructive and sad, and I would never wish the way that I feel about myself on anyone else. I could literally go from head to toe right now and tell you at least one thing that I would change about every single part of my body. And that is so awful because it's just so self-destructive. And I just went through so many years of my life feeling so anxious and insecure and scared. And I just don't want anyone else. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. I don't want to feel like that. And it just doesn't matter how many people tell you how beautiful you are until you actually believe it yourself. It's never going to mean anything because this isn't who I am. This is just stuff that I rub on my face to feel more okay in the world, because that's what you're supposed to do. These are just beauty products. None of this is real. This is terrifying. But this is me.